Do you have any idea what Trump could be praising about Adolf Hitler?
Well, I'm not agreeing that Trump is praising Adolf Hitler, because all you have are the comments from General Kelly, again, who did not mix with President Trump, who did not get along with President Trump, and who's been consistently on the record against President Trump.
Look, we've heard a lot of extreme things about Donald Trump from Donald Trump. It's kind of par for the course. It's really, unfortunately, with a guy like that, it's kind of baked into the vote.
Well, this is a new interview with Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, his longest-serving chief of staff, who tells the New York Times he frequently witnessed behavior which leads him to believe that Trump's ambition is to rule like a dictator. He says Trump demands loyalty to himself over the Constitution, repeatedly sought to use the U.S. military against American citizens, and even expressed admiration for Hitler on more than one occasion.
Commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too. First of all, you should never say that. But if you knew what Hitler was all about from the beginning to the end, everything he did was in support of his racist, fascist life, philosophy, so that nothing he did you could argue was good.
John Kelly says that Trump, quote, certainly prefers the dictator approach to government. In supporting the ticket, that is something that you're supporting. Yeah. Is that something you are okay with?
No, look, I don't think anybody should be okay with statements like that, of course. And if there's ever anyone you don't want any sort of comparison to, it's Hitler and all of that sort of thing. As we've discussed before, I think it's not just what Chris Sununu is going to be voting for. I think most of America is going to go this way. I do think Trump wins this thing in the end, and it's about that change. There's nobody in America that would likes to hear that conversation about a potential future president of the United States. But that's how bad things are. That's how bad the Harris campaign has run things. That's how bad her message is, and that's how bad the last 3.5 years has been for a lot of Americans. They're willing to say, look, we'll hold our nose, we'll vote for Trump. We need that culture change and an administration that puts people in this country first.
What good things would you say Hitler did?
Well, I wouldn't say Hitler did any good things. And I would also say this. I worked both with General Kelly and President Trump in the last administration, and it was not a good fit. General Kelly's been on record many times criticizing President Trump. Obviously, he doesn't like President Trump. I would take that with a grain of salt, just as I would some of the other things that have been reported that have been debunked consistently along these lines.
It doesn't make sense to me. I find the timing suspicious, and it just completely is divorced from the man that I've come to know in Donald Trump.
If you read H.R. McMaster's book, who is critical of President Trump in some of it and not in others, he talks about how Madison Kelly didn't like the president, and they didn't think he deserved the job, or they didn't think he was worthy of the job, and they went out of his way to make sure a lot of the things they asked him to do that they didn't like never got done. McMaster would be frustrated because he couldn't get their attention, and he would say, it's not your job to rein in the president. It's your job to do what the president wants. And then you factor in the fact that he runs his own company, coming from the business world, the first one we've ever had. It's not even a public company. And then he obviously has frustration. And I could absolutely see him go, now, you know what? It would be great to have German generals that actually do what we asked them to do, knowing that's a third, maybe not fully being cognizant of the third rail of German generals who were Nazis and whatever. But he was frustrated with the slowdown of commands.
It wasn't just a slowdown, it was insubordination.
Today, it's been reported that Donald Trump said, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. Don't be the frog in the boiling water and think this is okay. As a 24-year veteran of our military, that makes me sick as hell. And it should make you sick. Folks, the guardrails are gone. Trump is descending into this madness. A former president of the United States and the candidate for president of the United States says he wants generals like Adolf Hitler had. Think about it. And he already has the Supreme Court in his pocket. They've effectively given him full immunity. If he's elected again, he will appoint up to 3 more Supreme Court justices. And God knows there's not a single spine in the Republican Party in Congress that will stand up to him. You know that.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there, and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want?